Hey guys, I decided that I think that it's important that we do a air fryer 101 class for all my clients that have the air fryer but maybe aren't using it as often as they should. This is something that gets utilized in my kitchen probably once a day, if not twice a day, sometimes even longer than that. I use it, my husband uses it, my kids use it, and we are just so thrilled with it that I really felt like it was important to make sure that everyone knew kind of the basics and the ins and outs of how to use your air fryer, because it really is something that's super easy and it does basically act like a separate oven in your kitchen. So if you have the air fryer, congratulations to you. If you don't, please know that this is an awesome thing to put into your kitchen for a multitude of reasons, and I'm going to show you how. So the air fryer comes all contained. Usually there's a sticker on the front. I would highly recommend taking that sticker off. It's not necessary to keep it off there. You can use a little Goo Gone if you want and take off the sticky part of it, but you don't necessarily need to keep the sticker on the front of it. So the air fryer comes with a couple of things that are standard, one of them being the air fryer book. And this book, if you have lost yours, I can send it to you digitally, so let me know. But this is basically the best thing that you're going to use as far as guides for cooking, and then also for how to prepare things and how long and what setting to use it on as well. Some of the settings come preset, some of the settings you can adjust, and so I just thought that you should definitely make sure that you sit down and take a look at your book. It's not very thick. Matter of fact, I would say that the first, what does it say here? Pardon me while I whip out my glasses. My first 11 pages are basically dedicated to how to cook and what to cook, and everything else is recipes. So you don't really have to read a whole lot to glean a lot of information. So that being said, the air fryer comes with a couple of things. One of them are sets of racks. So there's 2 racks that you can use, and they're basically mesh racks. You can put almost anything on these racks. So if you are cooking chicken thighs, if you are cooking French fries, if you want to cook tater tots, I would put them on these racks. It's easy to do. You can do hand pies on here. You could do corn on the cob. You could do, there's just all kinds of things from A to Z. Chicken wings, that kind of stuff. I would choose chicken wings on the racks versus the drum because it's less mess. Tater tots, they tend to fall apart. There's an air fryer group that is for people who are not consultants but actual customers, and you should follow it because it is full of information on people who have tried recipes and figured out stuff, and I definitely would highly recommend looking at their recipes because it's something that will help you learn every time you do it. You can put vegetables on here, you can do veggies on the top and starch on the bottom, you can rotate the racks. The upper rack for the air fryer is probably the stronger of the 2 racks because obviously the coil's at the top. So if you're putting anything in here and you're curious about the fact that it's going to cook faster or how fast it's going to cook, when you put it in, you want to make sure that you rotate it. And how you're going to remember to rotate it is when you put it on, say, air fry, your time will be cut in half and you will actually hear a beep telling you and indicating to you that you want to go ahead and switch your racks. So say you did it for 14 minutes, at 7 minutes you'd hear a beep. The beep indicates that you want to switch your racks, and so that's what you can do with these. It comes with 2 racks. It actually comes with a third, and the third is the one that's up here at the top. And the reason that it's all the way at the top is that it's supposed to guard the coil so that you don't get anything stuck on it. So for example, if I'm rotating a chicken or if I'm doing anything like that, you don't want the chicken to hit the top of the coil, and so you want to make sure it protects that way. But if you have things that are not big and bulky in here, you can actually use this in a pinch as a third rack because there are 3 different settings. So here's 1, there's 2, and then you can see that there's a third. There's a drip tray at the bottom. Mine happens to be in the dishwasher right now. Excuse me, the sink. What I was going to say is you shouldn't put that in the dishwasher. So your racks you can go ahead and put in the dishwasher, but your drip tray you should not. They actually recommend to hand wash that, so don't put that in the dishwasher. But the racks are great for all kinds of things, and I would tell you that you get quite a bit on here. Also, at Walmart, you can buy online parchment liners that fit your racks, and so if you have something that you're worried is going to kind of drip through, say you're doing mozzarella sticks or you're doing something that has got a lot of grease in it and you want the parchment to soak it up, that is something you could do, which is you can line it with parchment. The things that you don't want to do with your air fryer, you do not want to use tin foil, and you do not want to use a container that is going to touch any of your sides. If it is too big, it is not for the air fryer. You want to make sure that everything fits in here really easily, and I will show you in a little bit some of the things that we actually sell that can go ahead and be used in the air fryer without worry. So I'll take these racks, I'm going to put them over here, and I'm going to show you the next thing. So if you're worried and nervous about using the air fryer, start with the basket. The basket comes with these two long prongs on the side. Sometimes people will get their basket and the prongs are actually indented. It just means that it got pushed in during shipping and you can pop them out on the sides. But your side should sit like this. Let me just show you. And this should be completely flush. So there should not be any indentation here. You can kind of see how that is right there. So this basket is excellent for Brussels sprouts or French fries or roasted potatoes. The other day someone did pumpkin seeds, which I love. There's so many great things you can do. I've done asparagus in here. Kind of the sky is the limit. Anything that you want to get air underneath and rotate is done with the basket. It is easy. All you do is open the basket here, put everything inside. The question I get a lot is, how full should I fill the basket? My answer is usually between 1/2 and 3/4 full. If it's too full, you're not going to get the air in it, and the things inside are not going to get cooked evenly. So you can fill it as full as you want, but if you're going to want a nice even cook, you're going to want to cook it and do it with a couple of, a little bit of air to be able to move things around inside of here. This basket can go in the dishwasher as well. As a matter of fact, mine's quite dirty right now and needs to go in. If for some reason you cook something in here that's super messy, just soak it in your sink. And I will also tell you too that the Norwex cleaning paste is great for cleaning up something that gets a little too oily or a little too greasy. The reason you use an air fryer is to do healthier cooking. You do not need to saturate your French fries or your Brussels sprouts and stuff in oil. So if you are making Brussels sprouts, you'd slice them in half, you would rinse them, you'd dry them, because anything that you put in here, you don't want it to go in wet, you want it to be dry so that it will roast up very nicely. Take a capful of oil, really truly no more than a capful, it's about a teaspoon, toss it, put your favorite seasonings in it, and you can go ahead and put this in here and it will rotate and it will cook up very nicely. So inside here on the right and left hand side, there are little indentations or little holes. The holes are the same size as what the end of the basket looks like. So if you can envision it, it's a hexagon. You want to match up the hexagon with the whole hexagon hole. So if I am here and I'm putting it in, I'm going to stick it in here, but I've got to turn it just a little bit. You see that it went in and it sunk into the side. And on the other side, there's a hook. So if your basket goes over the hook too far, then you do not have it sunk in this side. Also, when I do this, it's not going to come out. But when I want to take it out, all I do is lift the side and pull out, and there you go. Super easy. It does come with this really nice remover so that you can, when it's hot, put it right up underneath and then just take it in and take it out. And let me just show you, it is that easy to sink and put in without me touching it. So that's how simple this is. All you have to do is put it up underneath the hooks, pick it up, and pull it out, and that will do that for you. Now, if you have our stackable cooling racks have the tiny little squares on them. You can set this up on the end of the stackable cooling rack, use your little prongs, and you can put it in here and pull it open and then get all your stuff out of the inside. So when this comes out, it's super hot and you want to be very careful. And taking it and trying to do it with your hands is something you don't want to do. So you can easily just kind of fix that to the stackable cooling rack, let it sit there, and then pop it open and then take some tongs and take everything out. So that is what I would use the basket for. It is an excellent way of getting all of your food kind of rotated and evenly cooked, and it's awesome. And as I mentioned, it's rotated. So there are a couple different settings that you're going to use with the air fryer. So even though it says air fry, the different settings are air fry, bake, roast, rotisserie, reheat, and dehydrate. And so when you want something to rotate, you want to go ahead and use the rotisserie setting because that tells the air fryer to turn it for you. But if you wanted to air fry your potatoes, per se, you hit the air fry button, and I don't have it plugged in right now because it's across the room, but I would turn this knob until the air fry hit blue. I would push the button in, so I've selected air fry, and then I would go ahead and hit start again, so I'd push the button one more time, and before I was finished, I would actually go up here and there's a rotate button, and you push the rotate button to indicate to the machine that you want it to rotate. And then all you do is turn on the light and just make sure that you see that it actually is indeed rotating. So there's two ways to get it to go. You can either rotisserie it, but if you don't want that setting as far as the temperature setting, you can air fry it still, or you can bake it still, or you can roast it still, just as long as you make sure that you hit the rotate, so which indicates that it's the basket that you're using. So I hope that makes sense. All right, so speaking of rotisserie, it is a game changer. You can use the rotisserie feature in here, and here's what you're going to get with it. So these are the prongs and the pole that come with the air fryer. So they come apart. So you can see I pulled it off here, and there's another one and it pulls off the side here, and they are on a pole that does not have a point to the end. So when you're piercing your meat, so chicken, obviously, you can go straight through the cavity, not a problem. But if you're piercing things like a pork tenderloin, or if you're doing a cauliflower, or you do a pineapple, anything that is a whole piece, you're going to want to kind of put like a little knife indentation into your meat so that this can start and get through it. I don't have a problem usually with pork tenderloin, but I'm just letting you know. The restrictions on the air fryer are that you cannot do anything over 4 pounds, and here's why. You don't want to stress your motor. So basically, you want to make sure that this motor is using maximum capacity, and if you put a 4.5, 5 pound, 6 pound chicken in there, you're going to see that it's not going to cook as well because it really is stressful on the motor, and 2 pounds on a machine this size definitely makes a difference. So 4 pounds is the recommended. You get a 4 pound chicken, and so what you would do is you would obviously clean your chicken, get it all ready to go, pat it dry, because again, anything that is dry is going to cook better for you. Maybe you want to put a little oil on it, maybe you want to put a little butter on it, and you want to season your chicken. You want to season the outside, you want to season the inside, because it's just like roasting a regular chicken. However, you're going to push this rod through, you're going to take these clamps, and you're going to take the clamps, and the clamps are going to go into the meat on your bird. And the reason being is because it really doesn't want, you don't want it to move. And what's going to happen is when it rotates, it is going to want to move. So you want to make sure that you put that sucker in there and it doesn't go anywhere. And I would also recommend taking a twine and tying down your legs and tying down your wings. It's just the best way to do it. That way everything is contained and it's not going anywhere. It also comes with these tiny little screws, and I'm going to come close so you can see what I'm talking about. These tiny little screws right here, you can buy replacements for them at Home Depot, but I keep mine in a very special place because I don't want anything to happen to them, and I know exactly where they're supposed to go. But when you're storing your equipment, you can easily just screw them into where they need to be, and they can all stay together. But there's like a little hole right here inside the prongs, and all I'm going to do, as I'm coming a little bit closer so you can see, the screw goes into here, and that means that the prong's not going to move. So you can see this one doesn't have it, and it's moving, and so the minute I screw it back down, it won't go anywhere. I'll put it right here, turn it in, and it's only a few turns. But when you clean these, I'd clean them inside a bowl because they'll go down your sink in a heartbeat. And so anyway, you can see that the prongs aren't going anywhere, which means neither is your meat, which is great. So something I would recommend trying out, buy a small bird, buy a Cornish game hen. Those are perfect size for something like this. You could do a Cornish game hen very, very easily. If you wanted to, say you bought a chicken and it's 5 pounds and you're like, my gosh, I've got a chicken and it's too big. Take that chicken, cut it in half, and they call it a spatchcock. When you cut it down the breastbone and you make it open so basically the legs and everything are kind of flat, and stick it on the rack. That's easy to do. That is not a problem. You could do that. Spatchcock your chicken and then cook it in the middle rack, and you can bake it in here very easily. Summertime comes, it's hot in your kitchen. This is definitely something that's going to keep your kitchen from not getting too warm. The one thing I forgot to mention to you all is that this machine preheats instantly. So you do not have to worry about sitting around and waiting for it to preheat, heating up your kitchen, and wasting your time. This is something that will go a lot faster. Because it heats up instantly, it also cooks a lot faster. So you're cooking things, my kids cook chicken nuggets, they cook corn dogs, they cook all kinds of stuff, and where it would take 20 minutes in the oven, it's going to take about 12 minutes in the air fryer, maybe even less. So those are some of the things that you get with your air fryer. But let me show you some of the things that you can get to accessorize your air fryer. I recommend having a decent pair of oven mitts to make sure that you do not burn yourself. The air fryer is super hot. And while I do love these, and they actually are in the catalog in gray right now, these are more microwave grips, and they're super to use on the racks. But if I'm doing something that's a little bit heavier, I'm actually going to use my miniature oven mitts because they cover my entire hand, and I'm not having to worry about burning the tops of my fingers while I get in there. And actually, I think I'm in here backwards, but so you can see. They're really nice. They actually cover up almost your entire hand, and so you can also get in here. So if you've got giant oven mitts in your hand, you really can't get inside the air fryer very easily, whereas this one, I can get all the way inside of here pretty easily without having to worry about my oven mitt catching on fire or that it's not going to let me in there and I'm going to get chicken grease all over it or whatever else. So these are great. The other things that I will tell you I use is we have a small toaster oven pan. It is a stoneware brand, and because it is stoneware, it can easily go in here. And we'll use this for things like crescent rolls, or sometimes I will put my hand pies in here, or if I don't want to use parchment paper, I can do mozzarella sticks so that the cheese doesn't drip. Anything that you don't want. I had turkey burgers the other day, and they were not all the way cooked, and so I needed to heat them up really quickly, and I put them on here just so the grease doesn't go everywhere. It's an easy cleanup. This is not a difficult machine to clean, but I will say that sometimes you just don't want it to be messy all over the place, and so a small toaster oven pan is the perfect way to go. What you would do is you take the pan and you would, over here, stick it on top of a tray. So that's just easy. You can see right here that there's still a little room, but you can go ahead and stick it in there. So if you would prefer not to have a lot of drippings, or if you want to catch the drippings to use them for something else, you can put that on here and that will cook very easily, and it is a perfect size for the air fryer. Our mini cast iron skillets. So everything from a cookie skillet to a frittata to just a small portion of roasted potatoes if I'm doing it for one. The mini cast iron skillets are fantastic. Again, they will go on the racks. I would not recommend putting more than one on a rack because these are pretty sturdy and you want to make sure you don't overwhelm the rack. Again, it's only human, well, not human, but it's my baby, so. But you'll see that this is pretty easy. So these are great to do that kind of stuff. You can make all kinds of things in the cast iron skillets. And again, it's like cooking in cast iron right on your stove or right in your oven. So you can utilize these in the same way that you would if you were putting them in the regular oven. And then finally, I'll mention our air fryer skewers. Our air fryer skewers come 8 to a pack. They are assembly very similar to the rotisserie rod, whereas you can take the whole thing apart. You can move this, you can move these pieces. There's little screws in here as well. But for the most part, once you've set it up, you really don't need to move it because it's going to stay in the same place. So I'm going to show you. All you do, as you can see everything's in here, you just pinch the skewer and turn it to the side and it comes right out. If I want it to go back in, it needs to go in that hole. I take it right here and all I do is push it in and then pinch the skewer, I'm trying to do this one-handed, and then it turns like that. So it goes in super easy. You can load it up with chicken or veggies or anything that you would like to. Grilled pineapple would be great on here. You could do corn on the cob on these skewers. There are 8 to a set, and I have filled the entire set, and then you would put it on rotate. That's right. So if you rotate it, obviously it's going to cook for you. So you put it on rotisserie, or you can rotate it as you would do an air fryer. It's going to char like it would if you put it on a grill. It's really delicious. And so season up your meat, season up your veggies, make sure that they've gotten, I usually use like Italian dressing on something, but you can skewer all that kind of stuff and then you can stick it in there and the guide will tell you for how long. And again, sometimes I like to check it. So I'll do it for, 10 minutes to make sure that it's done to the way I like it, and you may have to add a minute or two. But for the most part, the guide is going to give you spot on directions, and it is super easy to do. So the cleanup of the air fryer, you can wipe the outside off with anything you'd like to. I use a Clorox wipe, I use anything like that. It doesn't get that greasy. People ask a lot of times, does it get really hot? There's a fan back here. I put mine under my counter. I never have a problem with it. It doesn't get too hot. It doesn't overwhelm my cabinets. I don't feel the heat coming off of it. It's warm, but it's not something that makes my whole kitchen hot. If I want to clean my air fryer, take a look. Right here are these two little prongs that you push inwards, and the door comes off. So I can take this door, I can take it over to my sink, I can actually soap and water it. You want to be very careful not to get it down inside of your wells right here, because if you do, obviously the water is going to go in between. This is just like a regular oven. But it allows me to get in the cracks and the crevices. It allows me to get inside and clean it. Probably about once a month, I'll take some Norwex paste and some water, and I'll clean it up very nicely. Norwex is non-toxic, so that's why I like that. Also, Dawn Power Wash is supposed to be quite good for using your air fryer and cleaning it up as well. So everything else in here is pretty self-explanatory. There's obviously a light. You have a custom setting, so if you really wanted to, you could set it for custom setting of whatever temperature you'd like to. And then also there's a cancel button. So if you're halfway through and you're like, oh my gosh, that's enough, I don't need any more, close the door, hit the cancel button. It will take a second to stop, and then it'll stop for you. The one question I get all the time is, do I really have to unplug it every time? And the answer is yes, you do. The reason you have to unplug your air fryer all the time is because it is a running machine. It will draw electricity, and for safety purposes, they would like you to turn it off. They would like to make sure that you don't keep it plugged in all the time. If it's plugged in, you're going to see the flashing lights constantly, and you just want to make sure that you are keeping your household safe and not drawing extra electricity from it. So that was the answer for that. I am here to answer all your questions. I really appreciate all of my clients purchasing the air fryer. I know that some people absolutely love it. It has been something that so many people have said time and time again that it has changed the way they do their kitchen. I have one oven in my kitchen, and so this right here is my extra oven. I didn't have to add an extra oven to my wall over there, and this right here allows me to do my starch in here while I cook the meat in there or cook the meat on the stove. I can set this and forget it and walk away. This is something where I can do on these skewers, I can put 8 bratwursts on here and let them cook up, and I don't have to start my grill outside. I can't tell you how often we have not used our grill this summer because the air fryer has just changed that for us. Last thing I'm going to say is, you know how I feel about this. Please don't pay full price for the air fryer. Please host a show and get it for 50% off. Why would you not? If someone walked up to you and said, Kohl's is having a 50% off sale, of course you would go and go to 50% off. But the thing is, with the air fryer, you get me as your consultant, and you get me to tell you how to use recipes and how to do, tweaks of things that you want to do. I can help you with all kinds of stuff. I had someone call me the other day and say, my door won't shut. And I said, did you try moving your racks around and maybe you have this one backwards? And sure enough, that's what it was. So you not only get this, but you get me. And that is probably the best thing, I think, for you, because then it becomes more customized to you and your family. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope this is helpful to you, and I hope you take your air fryer out more often than not. And whatever you're doing, I hope you're cooking well. Take care.